Sarah Ticknor, born in Connecticut. And my first husband also was born in Connecticut, Lebanon, Connecticut. We were married in 1768 and came here in 1769. I was born in 1745, so I was 23 years old when we married. I'm not sure why we came here. He was my first husband, and you went with your husband. Wherever you went, you went. And my life had some really wonderful times and some not so wonderful times. And I need to tell you about the not so wonderful times as well. So Luther was such a handsome man, Luther Richardson. Wonderful man, we had a wonderful time. We had 3 children together, and he served in the Revolutionary War here. After the war was over, we moved to South Carolina. I don't know why we went so far away, but that's when things got very, very sad for me. We had our 3 children, and while there, I was pregnant with our 4th child. And he met another woman. He was a handsome man, and this woman just went after him, and he left me and my 3 kids and me ready to have the next child, and he was gone. So what I did then, here I was far away from my home in Lisbon. I'm in South Carolina. I didn't know what to do. I was heartbroken. We had had such a wonderful relationship. I wrote a letter back to Lisbon to see if anybody could help me get back here, because I knew the Lisbon folks were wonderful. They were wonderful people. I knew that maybe if they got together, funds together, I couldn't travel. I was so pregnant and 3 little ones. There's no way I could have done it, and I didn't have the money. Luther is the one who had the money. But I have a letter I wrote, a copy of that letter here, and I'd like to read it to you. I need to warn you because it is from the 1700s, so the wording you have to listen. Really listen carefully, because the emotion is in there that I felt. It's not at all the way we talk today. But so listen very carefully, and you'll hear her, how sad she is and how emotional she is. To my much esteemed friends and neighbors of Lisbon, with a heart burdened yet humbled before Providence, I take my pen to acquaint you with the sorrowful condition in which I am at present placed. I am far distant from my home and my kindred, being now in the southern parts of Carolina, where I remain with my 3 small children, and great with child again, and much reduced in strength and spirit. You will already, I am sure, have heard some report of my unhappy circumstances. My husband Luther, once to me a faithful companion, comely in person and honored for his service as a captain in the late war for our country's liberty, hath been drawn away by the enticements of a wealthy lady of this region, and hath left me destitute of comfort and support. Thus I find myself abandoned in a strange land, without money, without friends, or any means to return north, the journey being long and perilous, and wholly beyond my present ability, especially in my advanced condition. Yet even in this vale of affliction, the Lord hath not forgotten me. The news that the good people of Lisbon have taken pity upon my distress hath brought tears to my eyes and renewed life to my soul, that you should raise money for my relief and further resolve to send young Rue Aldrich of Sugar Hill, though but 20 years of age, yet stout of heart and sound of judgment, to conduct me and my children safely home. It is an act of charity I can never repay, except with my prayers and my lasting gratitude. If it please God to restore me again to Lisbon, I shall endeavor to live quietly and industriously, bringing up my children in the fear of the Lord and in thankfulness toward those who showed mercy to their mother in her extreme condition. Whatever trials yet awaits me, I submit myself to his will, trusting that he who tempers the wind will yet provide a path for us. Please remember me kindly to all my friends and neighbors. I remain with sincere affection and humility, your obliged and grateful servant, Sarah Ticknor Richardson. That was my letter. And then I wrote again, because I had written that letter in hope and in distress. And then I heard from Lisbon, so I wrote back. To my beloved Lisbon, New Hampshire, after receiving word from you wonderful people of the town, I wrote, thank you to Josiah Bishop, especially for organizing a way home for myself and my children. I am sensible of the ties that bind us closer. Rue Aldrich, being brother-in-law to Josiah Bishop, a man long known to many of you, and one whose family has ever, always shown himself mindful of duty and kin. Such bonds of marriage, neighborhood, and mutual care are, I am persuaded, the true strength of our country for exceeding any wealth or rank. I say thank you, first of all, to Samuel Young. With his help, he helped me with the estate of my first husband, Luther. Luther is buried in South Carolina, but Samuel helped me with the estate. You know, there was no will. I needed that help. He was a wonderful help for me. My marriage, I was the third wife of Josiah Bishop, around 1788. He was a justice of the peace, he was a selectman, he was town clerk of Lisbon, and a constable. Josiah died in 1824 at the age of 74. He was also a second lieutenant in the New Hampshire militia. I had several stepchildren. I am not truly aware of how many passed before I came back to Lisbon, but I had several stepchildren. My four own children, John, Abigail, James, and Sarah. And Sarah, I'm not sure from the history if Sarah was born before I came back from South Carolina. I believe she was probably born there, because making the trip in the condition I was in, I don't think I could have made it. And when I arrived here, I was supported by so many relatives and friends in this town. Thank you very much again for having us today.
Hello, I'm Samuel Young, and I've been dead since 1804. And I'll tell you, it's interesting. You don't know how difficult it was crawling out of that hole down in Salmon Hole Bridge area through all that mud and permafrost. Not good. But I used to run, I had a tavern also, I'm just gonna tell you because, I mean, having been dead for as long as I have been, I just have so much up here, and I've been just dying for all these years to tell you, and it's just gonna blurt out. But when I had Young's Tavern down there next to the river, I remember there was one fellow who came in, and he said, "What's the quickest way to get to Lancaster?" And I said, "You walking, or you got a horse?" He said, I got a horse. I said, "Take the horse." Well, anyway. I had a very colorful, I was one of 11 children. My father was John. I was born in Haverhill, Massachusetts. My father was John. My mother was Hannah. All right. My brothers, there were 6 brothers. And we all fought at the Battle of Bunker Hill. Okay? Now, if they had really good GPS back then, now GPS was called good pointing system. All right? Now what they did is their GPSs were off, they pointed, we ended up on Breeds Hill and not Bunker Hill. Okay? So we ended up there, and it was terrible. It was terrible. We had a fight, you know, the whites of their eyes, and all the British kept it coming, and it was just one heck of a fight. And it was all uphill. Except for us, we were at the top, and the British had to come up. But, so we fought at the Battle of Bunker Hill. Now, my father, John, had 800 acres here in Lisbon. 800 acres. It's a lot of land. And what he did is he split some of the land between me, okay, and my brother Jesse. Okay, so that's how I ended up getting some of my land. Okay, and I purchased more land on top of that. But to continue on, my mother passed in the 1770s, right around, I think it was 1784. And my father ended up marrying Theodora Wheelock. Now, I heard the awe out there. Theodora Wheelock. You know Theodora Wheelock? Her father started Dartmouth College. All right? All right? So my stepmother's father, who would have been my step-grandfather on my stepmother's side, started the college. All right? So Theodora became my stepmother. Now, I married a woman named Hannah, and we had 3 children. We had 2 boys and a girl. We had Abigail, we had Moses. Moses, what, you think you were a rascal. My wife had to keep on going down to the Ammonoosuc because she kept on trying to party. So we had, let's see, so we had, there was Moses, and then there was Asa, all right? And Asa was our youngest son, and Asa, it was terrible. He died, well, of course, eventually, as well, you know, I did too, but he ended up drowning in the river. And so we ended up with Abigail and Moses. But anyway, so we had the children. Now, my wife, Hannah, passed. And I ended up marrying, I married another Abigail. So I have to tell you this, that my wife, Abigail, became the executor of my will. So when I say this, that Abigail was the executor, it wasn't my daughter Abigail. At this point in history, you can't tell an Abigail without a scorecard. All right? So she was the executor of my will. Now, I had land. We fought the Revolution, fought in the French and Indian War. I knew Ben. All right? I knew Ben. And I saved Ben's hide. Because in the battle of Cedars, the Cedars, we lost the battle of the Cedars, and we were captured. And Ben being the rascal he is, spent most of his time under his bunk drunk, but that was okay. Right? So anyway, so what we did is I planned an escape. Do I have an ooh? Thank you. Right? I planned an escape, and Ben and I and the other men, under the cold dark of night, which night is usually cold and dark, but cold dark of night, we escaped. Now, he's all upset about this, you know, I owe him money for a bet. Well, I saved his rascally hide. So,
I don't remember any of that.
what do you think? You were drunk on your bet. So, anyway, so we did escape that, all right? Came back to Lisbon, all right? Now, as I said, Hannah died, I married Theodora, and I opened up a tavern down the road a piece. Well, actually back then there wasn't a road, it was the river, all right? And so what you see as the front is the back, and what I see as the front and you see as the back was not the front, it was not the back either, but it was my front. You got that? All right. So the building faced the river because that was a highway. It wasn't deep enough that you could take a boat on because there were rocks. But people, when they would travel up to the north, they followed the river to come up here. Right? See, people are nodding. Were you there? Right? So yeah, so they were. That's how they did it. So when they come up the river, they wanted to see the front of the building. So what I ended up doing is I had the property, the building, and I took down the stockade because that was the major place. I was protection. That's where Nathan Caswell, that fellow who started that place down the road, Little Town, all right? Nathan, after he and his wife, after he and his family ended up going to Little Town, and they were in a lean-to and his wife was giving birth in a lean-to, and he was keeping an eye open for the Indians, and it was right near a place that you call Home Depot. Okay? And I think you got a discount on building materials. What had happened is they left, okay? They left and they did a dugout canoe. And he and his wife and the brand new baby who was born in this lean-to in a winter, which it was, I mean, you couldn't write a story like this, all right? And they got in this dugout canoe, and his other son took a horse and brought the horse back, walked the horse back to Littleton. They got in the canoe, took the Amanuzik, all right, came down and ended up back here, because they knew where they were safe. So, but anyway, that's a side story, which I have been known to do many times. But anyway, so what had happened is I purchased a property and I tore down the stockade fence. Then I moved into the blockhouse. Well, what I did is then I lifted the blockhouse and I built under it, okay? Now, that became the social place. We were the center of the universe, all right? And this is where we would have dances, and we would drink grog until we got silly and watch him fall into the river. So it would be, it was really quite a place to be, quite a place. Now, according to my son, Moses, okay, he talked about the property that we owned, known as Sam Young's Tavern, okay? And after I passed, my children, and my children and ancestors rented it out, and people rented it and ran it as a tavern. So it really was quite a place. I mean, they would do the Virginia Reel and the McNugget Waltz, whatever they did back then. So anyway, it was the place to go. Now, I have in my pocket a copy of the original will, It's really not, because I know someone here will probably want it for the archives. But I have the estate of Samuel Young right on this original paper. Rich paper, I mean, but, all right. Date of death, 1804. All right, executor, Abigail Young. All right, here's the widow. Real estate. This is what I left after I went to occupy a hole down at Salmon Hole. Right? And he talks about his rest being disturbed with those horseless carriages. My rest was disturbed when he moved in. But anyway, I had a homestead, all right, homestead farm, 400 acres. All right, valued at $5,564. That's $1,804, which nowadays is $5,564.29. All right, additional real property, okay, bring total real estate value to $7,784. I have to read my wills because I would never remember those numbers. All right, and like I said, you've been dead for 200 some odd years, you don't remember numbers. All right, personal property, total value of other property, $3,312. Notable assets, I had 75 tons of hay. How many of you can claim that you have 7,500 tons of hay? All right, that's a lot of hay. Hay? Hay. All right, and substantial crop holdings. Livestock, large varied livestock holdings, and this was indicative of a prosperous farmer. I was a prosperous farmer. Now, it wasn't all about me either. I mean, I did a lot. I served in committees to form and to make Lisbon a wonderful, awesome, vibrant community. Okay? Farm equipment, implements and tools necessary for large-scale farming, household furniture, tables, chairs, beds, and domestic goods. Luxury items, silverware. Do you know how many people had real silverware in this time period? Not many, I did. And you know something? When you have real silverware, people know you have money. And you know, when you're a guy and you have money back then, and your first wife goes to the great beyond, it makes it easier to find a second one.